I'm sitting in this beautiful field of alfalfa. It's an important crop for farmers all across this heartland. Many of them use it to feed their cattle because it's very high in protein. Well, we found a farm family that is using alfalfa as an important building block for their farming operation.
Heard a while back, it's better to get better than it is to get bigger. It's kind of where we've gone.
Todd Fornstrom knows that agricultural success today demands attention to every aspect of farming, adjusting his crop rotation to ensure good yields, providing an adequate supply of foodstuffs for his feedlot operations, paying attention to market conditions to keep production profitable.
We try to stick with the forage crops. We grow corn for silage, alfalfa, and then to help with our rotations, we grow hard red winter wheat and dry edible beans, pinto beans. As we get further away, we do more haying.
Todd and his family run a diversified farming operation just outside the small town of Pine Bluffs, Wyoming. The town takes its name from the lofty pines that surround this community in the southeast corner of the state. Key to their operation is 3 feedlots, handling cattle and sheep heading to market.
What we have behind me is the sheep feedlot. Its capacity is somewhere between 30 and 35,000 head at one-time capacity. Probably an average number of lambs we have on hand are between 15 and 17,000. With the cattle, its capacity is between 2 and 2,500 head, depending on the size of the cattle.
Meeting the demand for a high-protein feed on that number of animals requires the family to keep an eye on the bottom line. In this case, growing alfalfa, harvesting the hay, and processing it into pellets.
Well, pellets, obviously, are 100% alfalfa pellets, which means they're straight from the plant. And we don't add anything to them. They're straight off of one of our fields right now. They go straight into the feedlot. We pellet between 8,000 and 12,000 tons a year.
To meet the demand, the family works some 3,000 acres straddling the line between Wyoming and Nebraska. On this hot and sunny afternoon in July, Todd and his crew were finishing up their harvest on a field of alfalfa.
The better we crimp it, the quicker it dries. The quicker it dries, the quicker we get it off the field.
Once harvested, the alfalfa is hauled to a mill, part of a process that optimizes crop production to facilitate sustainable farming.
All the hay that we have is cut to be then taken to a hay pellet mill, which is then made into pellets. It compacts the hay so you have no feed loss and you still have the same feed value. It goes back to the feedlot and helps those cattle, sheep, everything so that people have food.
Providing the key elements of nourishment is an important factor in the approach to animal welfare taken by the Fornstroms. Their alfalfa pellets are just one part of a mixed diet served up to both sheep and cattle.
For us, it's survival in the ag business. It's doing more to capture more of the margins within the system. We try to harvest all of our own. We like I say, we use our own crops, so we don't have a lot of transportation when it comes to our forage.
Working the land and growing the crops that feed their animals is all part of a balance they see as essential to effective and profitable farming.
Being diversified helps us spread out our labor. You know, we don't have one thing to do and then we don't have anything to do for a while. We try to keep the businesses working together. That's one of the reasons we've diversified, is the sheep feedlot and the cattle feedlot aren't always full at the same time. So it spreads out our labor.
Todd will tell you it's a labor of love that began with his grandfather, who raised potatoes on this land in the 1930s. When Todd's dad took over the farm, he began the extensive feedlot operations that exist today.
Less people farm today than ever have, which allows us to do other things. You know, my grandfather and my grandmother both worked on the farm, and that's all they did. The amount of farm ground that he covered, I mean, one guy, it's a fraction of what one guy will cover now. And people see agriculture as a big business, and It is, but it isn't. I've grown up on the feedlot my whole life. And I call it the feedlot. It's a farm. It's a feedlot. It's a pellet mill. I've grown up, I live in the same house I grew up in. It's a good place to raise kids. There's a lot of freedom out here. All the kids, they learn quite a bit from anything from livestock to animals to farming.
As for the next generation, they take pride in the past with a focus on the future.
I know that my dad just plants alfalfa and cuts it like 2-3 times each year, and then makes it into bales that goes to our pellet mill.
I never really call it work. And most people ask me what do I do for work. I don't work. I just enjoy being in agriculture, being in farming. All of it's fun.